Let's lock them out.
No, we don't want to lock them
There's a
out.
baby shower that most of you have figured out is going on today, and that's why the decorations in the foyer. We want to welcome all of you. It's great to have Tony and Margaret with us there. They didn't come up here just for the baby shower. Margaret had a 50th high school reunion yesterday, Margaret. How big was your class and how many were in attendance?
229 was the class, and 124 there.
Counting mates and everything? Yeah. We're really glad to see you, and your mom's doing okay?
She's doing okay, but I got a text at 12:30 this morning from my sister. She fell last night and broke her collarbone. We're heading back to Nashville tomorrow, so I hope she's able to make it.
Now, she's with your
She lives with us, she's with Nancy right now.
Nancy,
She's been
so
here
you'll
about
pick
a
her
month.
up and take her back. Well, in our prayers, we just have a whole bunch of folks. Let's add Margaret's mom to that list as well. But Burnett Stewart has begun his chemotherapy. I think they're trying to shrink some things and then maybe do surgery later. And please, everybody's different about how they want visits and stuff. And Burnett's had a tough time with whatever additional, maybe it's just a primary chemo, but they also give him something else, came to the house and he had to have something for a 48-hour trip or something. But anyway, it caused him to have a bunch of mouth sores. Vic and I were going to try to visit last week one day, and Charlene said he really just didn't feel up to it. So it would be maybe good to call ahead of time to check if you plan to visit there. Also, Deb Rossi, who continues to have health problems, Vic took her to the doctors on Thursday, and it's continuing to be some issues that they're concerned about. And also Amy Rossi, who has had some spinal issues going on. Vic can tell you more about that. Tammy Haney is not here this morning, but her husband Jim had hernia surgery this past week. I'm happy to tell you that Jeannie Wong, Sydney Jean, is marching right along. She's, I think she finished her 35th week. So if I'm getting it right, I may be off a little bit. 37 is the time with twins to where they feel like they can arrive. In fact, they're typically a little premature. So she says when she gets to 37, she's going to start jumping up and down and doing housework, and she's been bedridden pretty much for the last, not totally bedridden. She said she went to the grocery store, but she had to ride one of those carts. I told her I always wanted to do that. So she's coming along, and there is still a chance they could be born on 9/11. Which Mark is flying out on the 8th, and Sydney Jean's birthday is 9/11, and Mia, their daughter, a 3-year-old daughter, will have her 3rd birthday on 9/11. And so with the twins coming early, I think their original due date was September 23rd or something. So would that be something? I think that would be the record. Dick Jones had a pacemaker surgery, and he is home and monitoring that, no pun intended. I don't think he's supposed to drive himself for a while. Marge Ellen, who is usually right on top of helping Dick, has been down with a back ailment herself. Please keep her in your prayers. Shirley Davis is not feeling well this morning and is not with us. And Sherry Alfred, who was gone last week for Jennifer Fickus's thyroid surgery, and Jennifer's doing really well down in North Carolina and South Carolina. Sherry's got back home and everything, but she got stung by something, and her foot is all swollen this morning, so they're trying to treat it with Benadryl and hope that everything's fine. Any others that we need to be aware of? Tony, would you please lead us? Somebody may get you to lead another prayer, so but that's all right. We'd like to hear you.
Dear God, we thank you for being such a good and gracious God. We thank you for the love that you've shown to us, even though we do not do the things that we're supposed to do and we transgress against you, but yet you still love us. As we study your word today, we pray that you'll be with us in our study. Help us to be more and more like Christ, our Savior, and your Son. Father, we thank you for all the good things that we have. We pray that you will bless the ones that are having problems and that you will help them to recover. Be with us as we live our lives so that we may glorify you in everything that we do. Thank you for letting us be here together with these fine brothers and sisters. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I wanted to thank all of you for your kindness about the Siggy's dying, passing. Jeannie and I had a bunch of tests done. The only thing that showed up negative was a heart problem, and the only way they could clarify that or determine where to go was to get a cardiologist to look at it. So Wednesday morning we took him to a cardiologist, and they kind of confirmed what we were afraid of. That there was really, he had AFib, and there was 2 chambers of the heart, and one of them gets bad, it fills up the lungs, and the vets kept saying, you'll notice he'll start coughing and, congestion, and we never saw it. So we kept thinking, maybe they're wrong about that. But the cardiologist said when the other chamber is faulty, then it fills up the belt, and they won't eat. They said they could try all kind of expensive drugs, but the cardiologist was pretty sure that nothing was going to help. It was just going to be a slow process, and really relatively painful and uncomfortable for him. So we thought about putting him down right there, but we brought him home. He seemed delighted to get back in the car, and then on the way home we had an appointment with Town and Country. I'm telling you, I don't want to cry this morning, but those 3 hours from noon till 3, they were the hardest time film in a long time. Exodus chapter 19 and 20. It's ridiculous that a little furry animal can wrap itself around your heart the way they do. Aren't we supposed to take domain over them? It seems to me like it's the opposite. Last Sunday we looked how Moses went up on the mount, and there was such, we could almost say, if we didn't want to be irreverent, that God seems to be pretty persnickety. Put a boundary around the base of the mountain, don't allow anybody to get up near the mountain, approach the mountain, but don't go beyond the boundary. If you do, you die. Seems rather severe for crossing the line. That and a bunch of things. I want to, by the way, there's an addendum to today's chapter 20, and it'll say the same thing, God on the mountain, but it'll say discussion questions for chapter 20. So if you did not get that, Fred, anybody need one of those? It's a new chapter. Okay, Fred, would you deliver some? It's the one that will say at the top, discussion questions, addendum, I think. You'll need a couple at least up here. Well, we'll look at chapter 20 in particular. Chapter 20 ends, again, after the giving of the Gail needs one and Brian needs one. And so a couple of I think Brian and Dick and anybody else who want Fred's got. This is an addition to it'll say discussion questions on it. At the end of chapter 20, there's this, after all of the 10 commandments are enumerated, then God tells Moses all kinds of specifications about an altar. And again, what do you think is, well, let's look at these and then we'll go to our discussion questions. Verse 22. I'm in chapter 20 of Exodus. The Lord said to Moses, thus you shall say to the sons of Israel, you yourselves have seen that I have spoken to you from heaven. You shall not make other gods besides me, gods of silver, gods of gold. You shall not make for yourselves. You shall make an altar of earth for me, and you shall sacrifice on it your burnt offerings and your peace offerings and your sheep and your oxen. In every place where I cause my name to be remembered, I will come to you and bless you. And if you make an altar of stone for me, you shall not build it of cut stones. For if you wield your tool on it, you will profane it. And you shall not go up by steps to my altar, that your nakedness may not be exposed on it. What's happening here? How would you explain this if you were having a home Bible study with somebody and they asked, why is this here? Vic?
Well, if you think about it, if he would have them consume all this, then they would end up taking pride in what they do.
Well, that's a good point. So build an altar, but it's not to be about your skills or whatever. It's to be about what God did. And all of this again has you see that word profane. So sometimes if I have all these rules, I've told you before, Jeannie and Mark call me the light Nazi. We're on all electric home, and we've got more modern bulbs, but I still like the 3-ways for reading and stuff, and sometimes they'll leave on a 3-way when it's not permissible. You know? So I'll walk in and I'll say, I'm going to get cited on this one. Just, are you reading? You know, use their justification for a 3-way. So I can be pretty persnickety about little things like that, but I'm not God. So when God decides to lay down rules, first of all, we can assume that there's reason for them. We may not grasp them, but there's reason for them, probably to our benefit, not just to God's glory. But the second thing is, and maybe the overriding thing, He's God. He can make any rule He wants and expect that we should listen to it because He's God. So it's not just that we can take this position, well, what's eating God? You know, that He would, and unfortunately, and I don't want to crack too much on the younger generations today, whether it's Generation Xers or the millennials or even the ones younger yet. But there is almost a default attitude when they read something in Scripture that they don't like. They don't get that, and they don't agree that God should do that. And it can be on a whole list of things. And that's dangerous. And maybe that's a reflection of the fact, you know, we talked a couple of weeks ago that sometimes we have trouble grasping the concept of the guilt of Christ on the cross. You know, that 2 Corinthians 5:21, God made Him who knew no sin to be sin on our behalf. And that's one of the, if not the great agony of the cross. cross, but we have been reticent or hesitant to talk so much about that because in our mind, Jesus epitomizes innocence. But on the cross, he was everything but innocent. He became sin for us. And so one reason maybe we have not, I scratched my head. I talked to Bob Builders just briefly about this. We've been thinking about this for several weeks as we gather around the table. And my comment to all of you publicly and then to Bob privately was, I was raised in the church. And I remember hearing about, the terrible pain of his physical suffering. And I might have even heard some about the shame of the cross. But I don't remember hearing anybody talk about how Jesus became sin for us and the guilt of the cross. And yet we're people, our fellowship are people of the book. And so I asked Bob, do you remember that? Do you remember growing up, gathering around the table where they talked about the guilt of Jesus? I mean, the guilt of Jesus was almost a phrase that was, you would never think of using that together. So I'm not thinking here that I'm plowing any new ground. All I'm doing is reading what the scriptures say. In 2 Corinthians 5:21 and 1 Peter 2:24, he bore our sins in his body. And Isaiah 53, those are not new verses. They've been there forever. So where have we been? Where have we been as a fellowship that we have not emphasized this in the past? And I think maybe it's more complicated than this, but we have not, and I'm taking the blame for this, preachers in general, elders, teachers in our fellowship, we have not done a real good job of talking about the holiness of God. So we can't grasp quite how God could make Jesus be sin. Why would he possibly do that? Well, when he's a holy and just God, things just don't slide by. And there had to be a reckoning. There had to be an accounting. So the fact that we haven't emphasized that affects us as we gather around the table in some of our thoughts, but it's affecting us on a daily basis when we read a passage of Scripture on some moral issue and we don't like what it says, so we just ignore it. We don't understand why God would possibly say that. So it kind of gets written out of the text. And that is, the problem with that is we don't have a high view of the holiness of God. We don't have any right to take the Scriptures and rewrite them. That would be to profane the text. All right, I'm preaching here, and it's not even 10 o'clock, so you jump on board here. Let's go to our questions. So, the study guide here on the questions about the Ten Commandments in particular. How many of the Ten Commandments do you think you could name off the top of your head? Anybody in here think you could go on? Might take you a little bit, Stephen. You could. Tell you, I bet you could. Anybody else? Who else? Vic? You think you could, right? Come on, man, you're elders. All right, well, somewhere I had a reference to a Gallup poll that was done in Canada, and very few could name even one commandment, and to name more than one. And then also, I saw a new, here it is in the middle of page number 4, a Newsweek survey, this is several years ago, 49% of Protestants and 44% of Catholics in our country could name 4 of the Ten Commandments. Well, okay, we don't do much memorizing anymore, but maybe let's talk about this part of it. Are the Ten Commandments, are they obsolete? as I said, they're reiterated in the New Testament. All of them. Gail says they're all basically given approval and shown to be still practiced under the New Testament, except the fourth commandment, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Do we keep the Sabbath today?
We're in the Sabbath rest.
That's a good way to say it. We're in the Sabbath rest. So the old keeping of the Sabbath was based really not upon the Ten Commandments. It didn't originate in the Ten Commandments. It's a part of creation. On the seventh day, God rested. And that rest became, and I'm not making this up, and neither is Tony. You can read Hebrews chapter 4. And I've tied that with Matthew 11, where Jesus tells the Jewish people who are, if you can remember, they are shackled with every kind of minutia, man-made law, argued by others that this is God. They've been weighted down by the scribes and Pharisees with all of these rules and regulations. And it's such a heavy burden, so many of them have just become exhausted by it. And here comes Jesus, and we tend to translate this out of context a little bit, but he says, come to me, all ye who labor and are heavy laden. And that's not just talking about, I had a tough day last week, or, I'm weary with whatever. It's talking about all of these rules and regulations that have been piled on the people of God, man-made rules. And Jesus says, come to me, all ye that labor and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. And that rest is the new covenant. It's a transition from an old covenant that required you to be meticulous about following every rule. Now, that leads us to another question here. Now we're under the new covenant and rules don't matter? No, we can't say that, can we? If we say that, we're not teaching the New Testament at all. I mean, that might be something that we prefer to say, that now we're in a period of grace and we don't have to worry so much about following God's will. Or some time ago, I read John Stott is one of my favorite authors. I've told you this many times, and he has emphasized this a lot. But look at the way Romans is bookended. Everybody, open your Bible to the Romans. I've showed you this before, but it'll be good to see again. And keep your marker at Exodus 20, because we'll go back there. Romans chapter 1. And someone read for us, well, let me just point it out to you in the interest of time. Romans 1 and verse 5, it speaks about the obedience of faith. Now, can you tell me what that says in your translation? Anybody have a different phrase for the obedience of faith? You see where I'm at there? I'm in the middle of verse 5. The obedience of faith. Do you have anything different, Ray?
It's not that much different, but to the obedience that comes from faith.
The obedience that comes from faith. One translator renders this the obedience which is faith.
Obedience to the faith.
Obedience to the faith. All right, and you can see the same phrase, I think it's in chapter 16, verse 25 or 26, the obedience of faith. So their faith is not free, especially if you take that translation, the obedience which is faith. Faith is obedience. So the New Testament is silly. It's absolutely ignorant to argue that the New Testament places no emphasis on obedience. It's everywhere. It's all throughout the scriptures. Okay. Yeah, Tony?
If you think about what Jesus says, if you love me, you will keep my commandments.
Yeah, right there. I mean, we could go one after another that same way. Vic?
Reference what you're saying here in Romans chapter 6, the first two verses cover.
What shall we say then? Are we to continue in sin and grace might increase? May it never be. How shall we who died to sin still live?
All right, I've got 10 minutes and I don't want to ramble the whole time, so let's just zip through these notes. These commandments are now first delivered here at Mount Sinai. Remember, you may not remember this, but let me refresh your mind that when Moses saw the burning bush, he was at Mount Sinai. It is referred to as Mount Horeb, or at Horeb. And God said that he would bring his people to this place to worship him. So now they have come to Mount Sinai. I think, did I say a month into the journey? We could trace their encampment so far, and they've been in multiple places. But now they camped at the base of Mount Sinai, and they're going to be there for about how long, do you think? About a year. And it's boy, what a year it must have been. I have in your notes here that during this time, and Stephen pointed this out last week, Moses, I wonder how many times in a year he climbed up Mount Sinai. He would go back and forth. He's serving as a mediator. So Moses delivers the law and he begins to teach the people the laws of God. How specifically he did this. Earlier we saw that Jethro gave him some great advice on how to dispense with judgments to recruit others to help. And no doubt Moses is doing that here, but he also, during this, more precisely it's 11 months, but generally speaking, during this year, they're going to build the tabernacle with all of its furnishings. Now that's a pretty amazing thought when you ponder that just a little bit too, because this tabernacle, here they are in a big campground. No, they're huge. They're a big 3 million. So don't think of your local Camp of America type of thing. I don't know how. I would just love to be transported back in time to see it. But they must have had the wherewithal. Well, we know that they came out of Egypt with great riches. They just asked their neighbors, give me this, give me that, and the neighbors gave it to them. So they plundered the Egyptians, not in a warrior kind of way, but in a God providence kind of way. So they had wherewithal to maybe purchase and negotiate or barter for whatever, but think of all the artisans that must have gone to work in this 11 months to put together these things. The priesthood was established and educated. This must have been the first preaching training school. 11-month crash course on how to be a priest. Tribes were numbered and organized. It must have been just an absolutely fascinating time. Number 4. Back to how many of the commandments can you name? Let's move on to number 5. Is there a... Okay, we're not going to be... I don't think I'm going to get anybody to participate here, but I'd love it if you would. In your more private moments, ask yourself if I could make it the 9 commandments, and I could do away with one of them, which one would I like to get rid of?
Thou shalt not covet.
Covet probably covers a lot of ground there.
It almost covers all the rest of it.
That may say more about us when we confess that, and probably says a lot. I'm not picking on Tony about this, but whatever we would confess, that it would speak about our need for that, wouldn't it? So all of these have great benefit. Jesus didn't come to destroy them, he came to fulfill them. They're not obsolete, although See, somewhere way back in our, years ago, I pulled up this reference that Sigmund Freud was arguing that we could be a happy people if we would just get rid of the Ten Commandments. They have really weighed us down and affected our mental health. So that was the argument then.
But Terry, that's the type of thing that I think we're wanting happiness, and that's why I put it under the umbrella of covenants. You know, I want to be happy, and so be happy, I've got to get rid of the Ten Commandments. And it just covers all those, because you see people, no matter how much they get, whether it's health or power or money or prestige or land, it's never enough. You always want more.
Oh, Tony, you're so right about that. And even just this, Jeannie and I have been wrestling with the Siggy thing for a while, but, you know, why can't we just take the posture, well, look, we had our beloved dog for almost 12 years. That's pretty wonderful. I hear others tell me, well, they didn't, the day after we put Siggy down, Alice Jean called, and she was teary-eyed, and she was telling me Janice and Johnny had to put down, we're going to have to put down Chester at 4 o'clock. This was on Thursday. And she just cried about it, and she does. I thought when I'm sitting in my office, and I don't screen calls, but I tell you that day I just didn't want to talk. So it had to be somebody really important if I was going to pick it up. And so when Alice Jean called, I thought, well, who knows, it could be something about Elwood, or I better answer this. So when I answered it, I thought, well, she knows about Siggy. So I figured Don told her, or Shirley, or somebody. She didn't know. And when she got all done, I think their dog was a Ridgeback, and maybe they only had him for 7 or 8 years. So whatever we have, it's never enough. And that's hard to soothe us sometimes. You talk to somebody that has been married for 50 plus years and they lose their mate. Do they find comfort when you tell them God blessed you with 50 plus years of marriage? Well, maybe at the moment, but deep down inside, they wanted another. You know, and so, yeah, Tony, you're onto something there with that covetousness. It really is, it's got tentacles going everywhere. What's meant by the saying the first 4 commandments are vertical and the last 6 are horizontal? Yeah. The first 4, let's name them real quickly here. Maybe not necessarily in order here. No other gods. No graven images. Don't take God's name in vain. Remember the Sabbath. Those 4 are looking upward to our relationship with God. The others, as we enumerate them, somebody enumerate them for us. I asked you last week to try to, this will help you a little bit. Read the 10 Commandments, and then for each one, try to come up with one word. There's a little memory crunch. So what would they be? Parents would be, for verse 12, murder, obviously, adultery, steal, all of these thou shalt not. Lie, don't lie. In verse 20, covet. So all of these have to do with how we treat others, which relates to how we respect God. When God tells us to treat others in this way or to not treat others this way, it's not that it's not vertical, but it's that it's talking about how we treat one another. Anybody have any comments when Keith gets up? I know the folks come out. Keith, you get last word then.
Okay. Matthew 22:34.
Okay.
New Testament, Jesus taught his disciples two new commandments that I give you.
In that way, the old is summed up. And what is it?
It's all summed up. That takes care of to me, that takes care of the Ten Commandments that you, it's not wrong to say that you don't know the Ten Commandments. It's good to know them, yes.
Yeah.
But the main two that I'm thinking of is, that's all I need to do. If I love you as of myself, I'm not going to do these things to myself.
So what are those two things?
Don't have any other God before me, and love your neighbor as yourself.
Okay.
Or love you.
Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. All right, thank you very much. We'll pick up on the first edition of that lesson 10 at the bottom. It tells you where to go for next week.
See you.